all the performance for this month has been silver, and yet it's still gold getting the headlines. It's bizarre. Hi, welcome to the Gold Silver Show once again. I've got Alan Hibbard with me. Alan, how are you doing?
I'm great, Mike. Thanks. How are you?
Good. So you've put together a little presentation about something that's happening, underneath things. It's sort of stealth. So.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of eyes on gold, and as an example, I got a cover here from the Financial Times, a golden refuge in an era of instability. And for the last few months, there have been dozens of articles from major media outlets reporting on gold and how valuable it is and how attractive it is to investors. But they're not talking about silver. It's kind of unbelievable.
Right.
So
under
that's what
the radar. Yeah, everybody has been talking about gold. I did a video recently on, I believe this is the beginning of the third and final stage of this bull market, and that we will be experiencing sometime soon, next 6 months, next 2 years, next 3 years, I don't know, but that we will be experiencing this blow off top. And the third phase sort of begins when it starts attracting a lot of media coverage.
Yeah, and that's where we are right now. And it is only a matter of time. And one thing I want to zoom in on here is this chart, which is a little tough to see, but someone recreated it for us. Comes from Bar Chart. Gold is destroying all major asset classes this year. And you can see gold is at the top, almost at 30% year to date. And we're not even halfway through the year, blowing away everything else. But as I mentioned a moment ago, silver is missing. It's not on this chart at all. And it should be basically the same size bar.
Yeah.
So it's kind of unbelievable. Silver is completely ignored and unloved. It's having a stealth bull market, and I want to just shine a little light on that in this video.
Yeah, and it's only been the past couple of weeks that it's really, gold was surpassing it, and then it just took off. And what's interesting is it got no media coverage. So what's the next image here?
Yeah.
Okay. And this shows it. Gold was ahead, silver was lagging, and it took off at the beginning of this month. And yeah.
Yeah, what we've got here, so this is from Zero Hedge. Silver is about to surpass gold as the best performing asset year to date. Gold is the orange line at the top here. Everything is indexed to 100, the same level as of January 1st of this year. And silver is the silver line. You could see it was, with gold, then lagging a little bit, and now it's back up with gold. And this came out June 9th, and actually the next day, silver outperformed gold by enough so that it became the best performing asset year to date. And you can see both assets are outperforming Bitcoin. That's the blue line. So I went ahead and updated this chart because we have another week or almost 2 weeks worth of data. And you can see silver did surpass gold year to date, and then fell back a little bit. And now they're pretty much neck and neck. And they're both up around 28% so far year to date. And again, that's only halfway through the year. So they're on pace to do 60% in a year, both metals. So absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yes. And we got a viewer comment here.
It is interesting, though, that all the performance for this month has been silver, and yet it's still gold getting the headlines. It's bizarre.
Yeah, exactly. And one of our viewers commented on our most recent video about silver. This comes from Sandwich King. There is little talk or excitement about silver price rise outside of the community that is into precious metals. That tells me there's a lot more room to rise.
And he is exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the insiders paying attention to silver.
Right.
Dirk Merton says, "Wake me when silver gets to $50."
Okay, if you want to wait until it gets to 50 to buy. But I used to with gold back when it was below $1,000, it was like $700 or something like that. And when somebody would just say that that they were going to wait, it hadn't really performed that much yet. And I said, "You look like a $2,500 guy." You're gonna wait, or you're a $5,000 guy. You're gonna wait until it hits 5,000, then you'll buy. So, 50. I believe that it's going to rise and it'll hit this resistance, and there's going to be a lot of sellers and professionals, traders that sell at 50. And it should do a little retracement somewhere like as it approaches 48 or so. We should see a retracement, and it might take 1, 2, 3 or something like that to get through that $50 level. But when it does, I think triple digits are going to come pretty darn quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Your story there about the $2,500 gold guy, that reminds me of a saying in the Bitcoin community, which applies to just about everything, in my opinion. It's everyone buys at the price they deserve. If you don't want to pay attention, if you want to be sleeping until the price goes higher, then that's your choice. Anyway, and speaking of, our next viewer has said, talking about silver, when it's 200, I'll start paying attention. Sorry, okay. I can't say that without laughing. When it's 200, I'll start paying attention. Okay.
So that's sort of an area, we have no idea where the top is. I've been saying for a long time that triple digit silver is inevitable. But that seems like, so when it peaks, when it hits a top, I'll pay attention. Maybe I'll buy and ride it all the way down.
Yeah, we'll see. No love. Another point to observe here is the major divergence in gold and silver, which you mentioned a moment ago. Throughout April and May, the two metals were moving together pretty tightly. And then basically in June, the last few weeks, we've seen a big divergence, silver outperforming gold pretty significantly. So yeah. It's pretty interesting.
I have a feeling if this went back to the beginning of the year, you'd see gold outperforming silver. So silver is playing catch up right now. This is a different way of looking at the gold-silver ratio, isn't it?
Yeah. So basically the gold-silver ratio would be roughly constant while these two are all together. And then, after this divergence, the gold-silver ratio comes down because silver is going up. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Another viewer comment here is that silver is too volatile for me as a physical asset. I would rather own gold. What are your thoughts on that, Mike?
Well, I own, for every ounce of gold I own almost 300 ounces of silver. And the reason why is, in fact, while silver was up at 100, was a great time to be selling your gold and buying more silver. And then you ride it down. And so it's fine if it's too volatile for you and you don't have the stomach for it. That's just fine. It's just that if you want 2, 3, maybe even 4 times more gold than you paid for, buying silver when it's up at these, it's still in the 90s right now. I think I haven't checked today, but when it's up at such. I've pointed this out so many times, how rare these moments are. It's measured in just weeks or a couple of months over the last 2,500 years when silver has been this incredibly cheap compared to gold. And so these are ratios that will revert, especially when you consider the mineable supplies. There is not that much mineable silver. Silver is coming mostly as a byproduct. And if we have any type of global financial crisis, what you're going to see is monetary demand. And at the same time, you'll see less base metals being mined. That will slow down. And that means that 60% or more of the silver supply will go away. The supply isn't there just when everybody wants it. I just think that the gold-silver ratio is something that can't stay this insanely out of whack forever.
Yeah, I agree completely. Yeah, and getting back to Hamlet's comment here that silver is too volatile. Take a smaller position. If you can't stomach the volatility, make it a smaller percentage of your portfolio, and do exactly that. Think of your portfolio as a portfolio, not just a bunch of individual assets. Right? Look at it as a holistic basis.
Yeah, I look at things like the gold-silver ratio and just the underlying fundamentals, and I go, well, this can't last. It's just not. All I have to do is have the stomach to wait.
Exactly. And what happened in the last bull market? Well, there's a few different asset classes we can look at: silver, gold, real estate, stocks, and this was the performance throughout the 1970s.
Yeah.
Silver did 41x, gold did 25x.
And that was when there was a lot more silver available above ground than there is today. The mineable supplies are lower. We are in a silver deficit right now, where every year we use more silver than we mine. And still, the whole point of this video is that silver is still flying under the radar. The media has not caught on to any of this yet. But this time around, the difference between gold and silver should be much more pronounced than what we had back here in the 70s. Now, again, this is not inflation adjusted. If you inflation adjust the bull markets in the 70s, stocks went backwards. They actually lost. This is just, this is nominal. This is dollar amount, not adjusted for how much those dollars buy.
Exactly. So stocks were not a good investment for the 1970s.
Right.
So out of curiosity, right before this video, I actually went to ChatGPT and inquired about how was the media coverage about gold and silver back in the 70s, right? That was before I was born, so I wasn't around to follow the news back then. And I basically asked it, how were the two assets covered? Was there a lag effect between one or the other? Was there a difference in tone? And it gave me this great printout, but I captured the summary. So I'm curious, Mike, if this jives with your understanding of this period and if you think we might be seeing a repeat today. So here's the summary. The gold coverage became mainstream by 1973 to 74, intensifying into the final years of 1970 with dramatic inflation and record highs. Silver coverage lagged, receiving real spotlight only after the Hunt brothers in 1974, and then more intensely in the late 70s bubble and crash. The tone of the coverage for gold shifted from analytical at first to alarmist in the end. And the tone for silver shifted from muted or quiet, not at all, to sensational fear during the bubble and crash. And finally, the media trend, a shift from technical or market-focused posts to dramatic narratives driven by macro events, inflation, speculation, and regulatory drama. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, that was pretty much it. In the United States, in 73 and 74, it wasn't private ownership of gold was still illegal. It was the first day of 75 that it actually became legal again. And then intensifying into 79, 80, that is absolutely correct. I think it was the last, it's the video about gold making the news was one or two releases ago. And in there, I read the final pages of the chapter on the difference between the 70s bull market and today from the book that you helped me. You did a lot of research on this, the Great Gold and Silver Rush of the 21st Century. And there's a whole bunch that was cut from my first book. And I got to include that in this book. And it's Time Magazine articles on gold during these events. And it is quite amazing. And even then, silver sort of got left out of the story until the Hunt brothers. But basically, the reason, I interviewed Jeff Christian of CPM Group, and CPM is one of the authorities on supply-demand fundamentals. And he was around back then. And I asked him how much the Hunt brothers contributed to that bull market. And he said 50 to 75 cents at the most. It wasn't the Hunt brothers cornering the market that drove silver to 52.50. It was the public shifting their preference from gold to silver when gold was perceived as being too expensive. And the common guy that was, the average income then was less than $10,000 a year. And so $500 gold, $600, $700, $800 gold, that seemed like a lot. And silver was still perceived as a bargain. And that's when silver just blew the doors off of gold. And I've been expecting the exact same thing to happen.
Exactly. And it seems like we're in this phase right here. Current silver coverage is muted.
Exactly.
There's not much of it. It's really, I look to try to find silver stories in the Financial Times or Barron's or Wall Street Journal. It's hard to find stories on silver. Like, they just don't exist.
And that suggests that silver is where the opportunity is, the biggest opportunity. And that's the reason I own almost 300 ounces of silver for every ounce of gold that I own.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. Our final comment here comes from a viewer. I always said, since I watched Hidden Secrets of Money, I will keep trading worthless pieces of paper for silver and gold until they won't let me anymore. Thanks to you, Mike.
Until they won't let you. Well, Justin just won in 888. I want to thank you very much for that comment. It is highly appreciated. And thank you, Alan. This was a great presentation.
Thanks, Mike, and thanks everyone for watching.